Hi, everybody. Today we're going to talk about crime in Colorado Springs. Is Colorado Springs safe? Are there bad neighborhoods? Are there places that you should avoid in Colorado Springs? I'm going to break it down for you right here. So I was born in California, Southern California, moved here with my family when I was 5 years old. We moved to Colorado Springs. I don't remember much about California, but we would go back about every 4 years for a little family vacation, and we'd get to see how different California was from Colorado Springs. Colorado Springs being a lot slower, not as many people, the city's more spread out. And so I've spent my whole life since then living here and nowhere else. And I've visited other towns. I've been to Denver, I've been to Pueblo, I've had family that I've visited in Illinois and California. And then we've done road trips, so I've gotten to see a good few different cities. So when we moved here to Colorado Springs, my parents rented out an apartment on Drennan on the south side of town. And then we were in that for, I think, a couple of years. And then after that, they purchased a townhome in the central north side of Colorado Springs. A few years after that, they bought a small house in the same area. A few years after that, they sold that and bought the house that they're in now, which is in the Powers Corridor, eastern side of town. Never at any point of anywhere that I'd lived in the city did I feel uncomfortable or unsafe or that, maybe I was being watched or somebody was following me but I was also not the type of kid who was going out at night. I suppose if I was going out at night, I wasn't going to be worried anyway, but I wasn't scared of anywhere that I lived at any point. I don't recall any shootings or any theft or, anything really to be concerned about. And anybody who has come to Colorado Springs who's from a larger town typically says, "Oh, the crime here is nothing," because the traffic here is also nothing. The smog here, there is none. It's nothing compared to California. So everything's worse in California, or it's worse in Denver because Denver's bigger. There's more homeless in Denver, there's more crime in Denver, and it's just because it's a larger city. The larger the city, the more people, the more crime, the more homeless, the more of the things that you don't like, drugs, gangs. Colorado Springs has grown from, I remember growing up in the 90s because we moved here in 1992 and just being a quiet little town that has grown and substantially since then. And I do see a lot more news reports of crime now than I ever remember seeing when I was younger. But I think that again is because there's just more people here. So you're going to see that. So as far as, oh, what's a bad, neighborhood or, what's a safe neighborhood for families? Like, I don't think there's really a bad neighborhood because I tell people the worst part of Colorado Springs is still better than the best part of California. And I say that as a joke, but I mean, my experience is that there's not really a bad part of town. If you want to get into, hey, where is if there's going to be a lot of shootings happening, where are they? For that, you want a crime map. The thing that I am not legally allowed to do as a real estate agent is to tell somebody that a neighborhood is a bad neighborhood or that a neighborhood is suited for families or suited for a certain type of people. I'm not supposed to steer you into or out of any neighborhood. So I'm definitely not going to be the person who says, "Oh yeah, you should avoid, these parts of town, this one, this one, this one." I'm not going to do that, can't do that. But you don't need me to do that because what I'm going to give you is something way better. All right, first off, we're starting off with this article, Safest Cities in America 2023 edition. And I bring this up because in this article, I'll scroll down here, there are just blah, blah, nobody cares. Top five safest cities. Yeah, you can look at that. Almost all of them are in Texas, one's in California. But here's the chart right here. You can see just the table. The top safest cities in America. And if we're going to look at Colorado Springs specifically, look at that. We're number 142 out of the top 200 safest, because this is the top 100 safest cities, but they actually have 200 in here. We're the 142nd safest large city in America. Woohoo. Hey, let's look at Denver. Denver is 193. We're actually safer than Denver. That's cool. Let's look at Pueblo. Pueblo doesn't even place. Okay. Well, so back to Colorado Springs. Uh, Out of per 100,000 residents, Colorado Springs has 574 violent crimes out of 100,000, 3,213 property crimes, 13.2 vehicular mortalities, and 29.8 drug poisoning mortalities. So, just to give you an idea of how safe Colorado Springs is, but type your own city in here and see if you can find it. But I'm going to show you something else. Check it out. All right, I'm going to show you three popular sites that I look at and have been looking at for several years to look at crime data in Colorado Springs so you can get like a heat map of what's going on crime-wise in Colorado Springs. So the first one, if you go to the El Paso County Sheriff's website, and you just type that in, I'll put a link in it below. So go on here, you can click on View Map, and it'll take you to the LexisNexis Community Crime Map. I love this map because, and we're looking at a part of Colorado Springs. We can zoom out and see a little bit more here. Each one of these little dots is a thing. And let me see, each, click on that. Assault aggravated. It's not going to tell you the exact address, but it's close enough. It'll tell you the day, time. It was child abuse, knowingly, recklessly. That's the orange one. Okay. The orange is assault with a weapon. Okay. So assault, I guess, is the orange ones. Purple looks like a burglary. Green is a motor vehicle theft. So all these get logged, and you can just look at this and see what's going on and see if you want to find a pattern, I guess. The second website I like to use is called myneighborhoodupdate.net. So similar thing where you just plug this in, look this on the map, and look anywhere that you want to in the city, and you get all these little pings with these little letters on them. Harassment, community policing, suspicious person, warrant, shots fired, assault, domestic violence, suspicious vehicle, accident, suspicious person, burglary. Okay, so you can see when all those were and have a great time looking at it. It's fun and fascinating to look and see what all these are and when they took place. And you should be able to narrow this down too by the most recent things that have happened. The third site I like to use is called crimegrade.org, and this is it here. This is an actual interactive heat map. You can see different neighborhoods that you want to zoom in on. Okay, let's go and look at the Broadmoor southwest part of the Springs here. And so the darker it is, the more crime. The greener it is, the less crime. So you can see like the whole city's just kind of screwed. There's not a dang thing you can do about it, right? It's just like looks like people are dying all over the place, right? And then you're like, oh, up here is fine, right where the new construction in Cordera is. Rockrimmond's fine, I guess, but you can't. Monument, and Glen Eagle's fine. Anywhere else just sucks. Don't live there. I mean, they're just killing people right and left on the Air Force Academy. Look at that. Look how red it is. So, you can only trust these so much, but look at that. F. We get an F. So with all these maps that I showed you, not only look at Colorado Springs, but also look at your own city and then compare the two because that's where the usefulness of this really shoots up is that you can say, okay, I know what kind of crime, or whatever safety that I'm used to. So I type in my own city and then I compare it to Colorado Springs and then I can say, oh, okay, it's similar or the Springs is better or worse, but we got an F. So, oh, geez, a crime occurs every 7 minutes in the Colorado Springs metro area. There's like 700,000 people in the whole metro area right now. Your home is 300% more likely to be robbed with no home security system. Interesting. You know how like people would put the ADT signs up in the yard even if they didn't have a security system? Uh, yeah. Oh, here's more tables. Look at violent crime rates, property crime rates, other kidnapping, oh, drug crimes, vandalism, identity theft, animal cruelty. You can get all of these: rape, murder, robbery, assault, arson. Wow. Oh, here's other places you can compare it to. Denver's got a D. Okay. So, again, look at that. Let's go back to that smart asset thing where we were ranking 142. What was Denver? What was Denver? 193. So it really is just subjective to how they want to measure it, if they're getting all the data when they're measuring all these crime rate statistics. But suffice it to say, we got crime. We know it. I see local news stories about, oh, there was, this shooting, or there was this, burglary, or there was this arson. It's a lot more than what it used to be. But again, I'm chalking that up to we have a lot more people. It's not like it's happening more often now. Well, it is, but it's happening more because we have more people. And I'm going to give you a bonus website to look at. Check this out. We are on neighborhoodscout.com. I love this website, not just for the crime map. And in fact, the crime map is like, that's cool. But the rest of the features where it just tells you about your own city and gives you all this very intricate. I remember looking up Colorado Springs at one point on here and just being fascinated by how much data it had on just different neighborhoods and the type of people that live in this neighborhood. There's veterans and retired military that make up 68% of this particular neighborhood. It's just, whoa. But I love that kind of, weird data like that. So, safest neighborhoods, dark blue is the most dangerous and the light blue is the safest. So again, you're looking at the city, you're like, well, it all sucks, doesn't it? There's little safe pockets, but again, this is completely subjective. Oh, they rank us six. 100 is safest. We are safer than 6% of US cities. Number of crimes: 2,809 violent crimes per year, 15,739 property crimes per year. A crime rate of 5.8 violent crimes per 1,000 residents, 32.52 property crimes per 1,000 residents. If we compare that to Colorado Springs, where they're saying their violent crime is 574 per 100,000 residents, so 5.74 versus 5.80, and then 32.13 versus 32.52. That's pretty close, actually, between the two. I'm wondering if they're using the same algorithm or search to run those numbers. And then there's other things that you can do. Like you can do what you're already doing, how you got here, which was search what are the safe neighborhoods in Colorado Springs? What are the bad neighborhoods? You did something like that, right? That's how you. So you've probably already seen, maybe you saw like a Reddit thread and somebody answered some questions. People online definitely have opinions, but another thing that I like to say is rent where you want to live and buy where you can live. So we bought our house in a neighborhood that I like. It's an 80918, and that's the central north part of the Springs. And I don't experience any crime. I'll give you some stories. So our neighbor across the street had their car stolen from them while it was running in the driveway. And so and it was early in the morning, and some opportunist, I guess, just got in and drove the car away. So they had to just file a lost car because I don't remember if they actually found it, if somebody found it later or not, but three of my neighbors on the opposite side of the street from me have reported seeing somebody checking their mailboxes and going through their mail. have a client who used to work at the post office in Briargate who there was a situation where somebody just ripped off like those mailboxes, like the big ones where everybody gets their mail in, you put it in the different slots, the plastic thing. Yeah, they'd ripped that whole thing off and then just taken mail out of it. So that kind of stuff is starting to happen now, and it's nothing that I'd ever heard about before, but maybe I just wasn't paying attention. We would go shopping, we wouldn't go downtown. I'm at like maybe going downtown at night, walking around. That's like the classic thing you think of when if you're gonna get mugged, maybe. But I don't hear of that happening downtown in Colorado Springs either. Like if that happens, it's newsworthy. Like it's not happening all the time to where we're just, oh, it just happens all the time. I'm not used to having a lot of crime happening here in Colorado Springs. We had that Club Q shooting. That was horrendous. We hadn't had something like that since the Aurora Theater shooting. So it was just a tragic, tragic loss. And that was highly unusual. We've got homeless. Denver has a lot more homeless. So I wouldn't say we have a homeless problem. We have some homeless people that live here, but it's not a lot. It's just some. As to the general crime in Colorado Springs, I would say if you're concerned for your family, just be smart. I don't take my family or my kids to do things at night generally. Certainly not going to a park at night or anything like that. We go to a park during the day, and I typically will see other families. There's a lot of different families with kids. There's a lot of parents with kids that live here, and it's also a dog-friendly state. So there's a lot of animals and kids around. And again, there's very rarely a point where I feel unsafe. Maybe there's some spooky, kind of creepy person hanging out at the park, but I mean, that is very rare. Like, I'm trying to even think of a situation the last time something like that happened. No. And again, not to say that it does, but I have not seen that in Colorado Springs. I have not heard about it. It is not a normal occurrence going on. Again, being a real estate agent, I cannot speak to the quality of a neighborhood or if I think it's a good or a bad neighborhood, but all of this information that I've given you and the websites that I've given you should be plenty of info for you to play around with and come to your own conclusions about where you'd like to live. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, please click the like button, hit the subscribe button and the bell, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Have a sunshine day.